Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the media. Welcome to this media briefing by the Minister of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development. With the Minister is the Director General, Mr. Mdu Shabane, DDG Terence Ndove, DDG for Land Redistribution and Tenure Reform, as well as Mr. Mweke Tsiramasodi, DDG for Agricultural Production, Health, Food Safety and Disaster Management. So, colleagues, the Minister will go through her input, and then after that we'll have an opportunity to ask questions. As we all know, the number that we call with, as well as the WhatsApp number that we use to send the questions. Let me take over to the Minister. Minister, thank you.
Announced a 21-day lockdown in response to COVID-19 pandemic. In the midst of this pandemic, agricultural production continues to ensure food security for the country. Food is being
Okay. You can go ahead, Minister.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, fellow South Africans, it is the second week since the President of the country, His Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, pronounced a 21-day lockdown in response to COVID-19 pandemic. In the midst of the pandemic, agricultural production continues to ensure food security for the country. Food is being produced at farm level and deliveries are being made to wholesale retailers, fresh produce markets, and other critical distribution points. I'd like to thank our farmers, farm workers, and all other agricultural value chain stakeholders for their relentless effort during this time. Together with industry, the department is monitoring food supplies through the agricultural value chain tracker. Where there are challenges experienced within the value chain through this tracking, these challenges are escalated for immediate attention to the relevant regulators. I have to repeat again that there is no need for panic buying, as such buying only serves to create artificial shortages in our food supply chain. And unfortunately, in some instances, this may result to unnecessary food hikes. We therefore would ask our people to actually bear with us and ensure that they buy the necessary stuff at particular times, not to actually hoard stuff that they don't need immediately. Last week, I indicated that the department has allocated 1.2 billion for small-scale farmers in our response to increase production. I also indicated that I will pronounce on the details of this allocation. Today, therefore, I'm pleased to announce that the application forms for this funding will be open from 8 April 2020, that is Wednesday this week, and will close on the 22nd of April. It has to be noted that no applications will be accepted after the closing date. Application forms will be available on the departmental website, www.dalrrd.gov.za, and through national, provincial, district, and local offices of both the National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, and our provincial departments of agriculture. Applications can be lodged also electronically at applications@dalrrd.gov.za, or alternatively submitted in the offices as outlined. I do hope that probably by that time there will be some movement that will enable people to go to our offices as expected. Ladies and gentlemen, of the 1.2 billion, the department has ring-fenced about 400 million to farmers with the proactive land acquisition strategy, and the remainder will be channeled towards all the farmers as per the following criteria. Firstly, the commodities that we have identified to be supported are as follows. In the poultry, the day-old chicks, point of lay, feed, medication, and sawdust. On the vegetables, the seedlings, fertilizer, pesticides, herbicides, and soil correction. On fruits, the final spraying programs for fruits that are already being harvested. As you know that now we are harvesting avocado, apples, table grapes, and wine grapes. So some of those would require some last spraying, and this is what we're supporting. Other livestock, we will actually support with the feed and medication to ensure that we maintain our animal health. On the winter field crops, soil correction, fertilizer, seeds, herbicides, and pesticides. The qualifying criteria for our small farmers is that all those who apply must be South African citizens who have been actively farming for a minimum of 12 months. Farmers who are currently in production, they must be registered on Farmer Register or commodity-based organization or in any of the provincial database that are with their farmers organization. We like to indicate though that those who are not registered will actually be registered at the point of application. We are also targeting farmers who are farming in communal areas or, as it is known, traditional areas. The smallholder and communal farmers with an annual turnover from 20,000 and 1 million annually. We also would like to indicate that those farmers who will support must also be applying good farming practices, because this is important in order to ensure that we protect our environment and we maintain our soils for further production. I must emphasize that the adjudication will observe the following minimum qualifications for allocations. We will ensure that we identify and target women at least 50% on those who would have applied, youth 40%, and people with disability at 6%. It is also important for me to indicate that this intervention is excluding mechanization, infrastructure, and other overhead costs. This is not a comprehensive support, but an intervention with regards to the challenge that the country is facing. Also, farmers who are preparing for the 2020 summer production season will not be supported because they would not be going on production immediately. The aim is to secure food for the next coming 6 months while the country deals with COVID-19. Farmers who are currently receiving support through other programs of government and entities are also not going to be supported for this allocation that I've just mentioned. We also want to indicate to our small farmers that this intervention is not to assist in the payment of debt. I indicated also that through the Land Bank, there's 100 million that will assist farmers in distress. And Land Bank is therefore, through their offices, are available to allow farmers to engage with them so that they can indicate the nature of support. I want to conclude by encouraging all stakeholders within the sector to observe and implement regulations as published by Government Notice number 318 of 18 March 2020, as amended by Government Notice number R398 of 25 March 2020, as well as R419 of 26 March 2020. This observation and implementation of these prescripts in health and occupational safety are also critical for the farm workers who are the backbone of our food supply systems. We have been disheartened to receive some reports that some of the farmers and producers have not been adhering to the standards. We therefore urge all employers within the sector to fully comply with all the applicable prescripts. Together as stakeholders within the sector have a mandate to ensure that there is access to sufficient, safe, and nutritious food for our country. And this is the commitment we must keep going forward. I would like to thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Colleagues, there it is. You can call, you can send the WhatsApp for your questions. Any takers?
From Zanzi, this
Yes, Nomfundo.
This is Nolutando.
Noluthando.
Hello,
Yes, Noluthando, you can go ahead.
may I go ahead? We just, you're speaking to Lolutando Ngakani from Food for Mzansi.
Yes, Noluthando, go ahead and ask a question.
Yes, we want clarity on the criteria of the selection process, as well as an indication whether the 1.2 billion relief fund will be enough to. Hello? Mr. on the line?
Yes, Noluthando. Yes, Noluthando. Okay, I think Minister, we can Noluthando's question.
Thank you very much. Just to answer Noltando's question with respect to the criteria which we have indicated, I'll repeat it again and we'll make it available to all news media. We said the people who must apply, they must be South African citizens who have been actively involved in the farming business for a period of 12 months. We also would like to indicate that these must be farmers who are currently in production, not somebody who's still thinking about farming, but those who are already in production. They must be registered on the farmers register or on their commodity database or in the provincial databases that are there. But we also want to say those who are not registered, they will be registered when they make their applications. It must also be communal farmers, smallholders and communal farmers with an annual turnover between 20,000 and 1 million annually. It must also be those farmers who apply good farming practices in what they do. And the commodities, Nolutando, if maybe you didn't pick it up earlier, it's the poultry, the vegetables, fruits, livestock, as well as winter field crops. Thank you.
There are two callers.
All right, the first caller that we have is Tanya. She's from Imbali, Pet Flowers.
Yes, Tanya, you can go and ask your question.
Yes, my question is, what is happening with the flower industry? There's no support. Our flower market has been completely shut down, and we have absolutely no support whatsoever. Is there any acknowledgement of this?
Okay, let's take the second caller. Thank you, Tanya.
Second caller, this is Zweli from Kroonstad.
Hi, Zweli, you can go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, Zweli, you can go ahead and ask your question.
This is Zweli Mati from Kroonstad, sir. Honorable the Minister, I'm just asking, I'm from the small scale farm, which is we are the trust of mixed genders. So I've heard that in your speech that women, disabilities, and all other criteria. So as a man who is leading the women at my small scale farm that was brought to us through Elrod Farm, do we also qualify for it?
Thank you very much. Let me answer to Tanya and Zweli. Tanya, with respect to the flower industry, the flower industry is indeed one of those sectors that we support, but for this intervention, we are targeting those farmers that are producing food, and in particular the winter crops as well as livestock. So we're targeting people who will be able to give us the maximum food that we require for the country between now and the end of 6 months. But there are other programs of government to support farmers, and those are not closed. But this is only the intervention in respect to the challenge that we're faced with. With regard to the question from Zweli, yes, Zweli, men are still being supported. But what we are saying is that 50% of that will go to women farmers. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Another two callers. First caller. Okay.
No, thanks, Reg. On the WhatsApp, we have Mbali Tetani from Newsroom Africa, who is asking the question. She's asking, she's saying, through which mechanism will this fund be distributed, and how will the amount be determined for each farmer? Is this a grant to farmers, or is this a loan?
Yes, Minister.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a grant. What will be used is food vouchers. There will be relevant retailers and cooperatives that are selling food inputs where farmers can go with their vouchers to apply for the necessary support that they need. So it's not money in cash, but it will be through vouchers that people will receive after their application has been successful. They will then go to the nearest retailer with which we would have had an agreement so that they can get the inputs that they require for their production.
Thank you, Minister. There's another question from Zanzi for food. They're asking whether the farmers should be on SARS, should be registered with SARS.
Well, those who are registered with SARS, yes, they will be accommodated, and those that are not yet registered with SARS, they will be encouraged to do so. As we have indicated, that this allocation is an intervention for people whose income turnover annually is between 20,000 and 1 million. Obviously, some people who are in that category are already registered with SARS. Those that are not will be encouraged to do so. And I would like to say to the various media houses, we know that there was a leaked document last week which might have reached farmers and they started to make application. That was a leaked document, it wasn't official. The official document that is released, it's what we're talking to today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Minister. We've got another two callers. First caller.
First caller is Janine Erasmus. She's calling from Farmers Weekly. The second caller is Tia. She's calling from Agri SA, in that order.
Janine, can you go ahead and ask your question?
Sure, thanks. Hello, this is Janine Erasmus from Farmers Weekly. I lost the connection, so I'm sorry if this has been answered, but is there a cap being placed on the amount that will be distributed to individual businesses? And then my other question is, if the department is at all busy lobbying for the wine industry to be able to start exporting again?
The second question, please.
Second caller, this is Tia from Agri SA.
Hi, Tia, you can go ahead.
Hi, Glenn. Thank you so much. I'd like to know if there will be any support for commercial farmers that is also suffering during this time.
Okay, Tia, thank you. Minister?
Thank you very much. If I start with the Farmers Weekly, the farmers that we're supporting, as indicated, are small-scale farmers, and the 100 million that is with the Land Bank for assisting farmers in distress actually covers largely your commercial farmers, those that have loan with the Land Bank. I know that other financial institutions have actually made some arrangements to assist those farmers and other businesses that are in distress during this period. With regards to the wine industry, as you know, that food distribution, either for export or import, has not actually been curtailed. Even with the harvesting, as we speak, the wine industry through the table wine grapes are actually harvesting now. It's part of the agricultural value chain. If there are difficulties, you can contact our office or the office of the Department of Trade and Industry. With regards to the other farmers, as asked by Agri-SA, I would not know what the nature of the assistance that you may be referring to, but as indicated, that Commercial farmers, through the Land Bank and through other financial institutions, they are being assisted to manage this challenge that we are facing as a country. Thank you very much.
There are two callers more. First caller.
The first one is Tanya from Imbali Pet Flowers, and the last one is going to be Ivo from Food from Zanti, in that order.
Tanya, you can go ahead.
My question is, as a follow-up with regards to the flower industry, while I realize this isn't necessarily the platform for it, we talk in this discussion about supporting the existing crops, etc. In lockdown, we are not allowed to go to our farm because it is not an essential service, and I'm required to look after my plants, etc. Is there no means and ways that we can allow the farmers who do not have essential food to still go and tend to their crops?
As far as I know, Tanya, all farmers that are farmers have actually been allowed to go to their centers. But if there's a specific challenge, you can refer it to our offices and we'll take it up with the provincial joint operation, depending on the province where you are, or with the National Joint Operations Center to actually have some clarity if there is a problem.
Thank you. Can we take the second caller?
Last caller, Ivo from Food from Zanti. Ivo?
Yes, Ivo.
Yes, I'm here.
Yes, we can go ahead and ask your question.
Minister, thank you for speaking to us. We appreciate that you're leading the COVID-19 task force with excellence. Just a question about the time frames. What can we be telling as media to farmers? What are the time frames you're looking at for applications that we should pay out for assistance?
We've indicated, Ivo, that on Wednesday, the applications will be out and farmers can access them and apply, and the closing date is the 22nd of April. We're doing this because we're dealing with an emergency, and therefore the time frame, yes, will be short, but it will enable everybody who is affected in terms of the announcement we made to be able to apply in the relevant offices or through online.
Okay, let's take one caller before we go to the WhatsApp.
All right, this is the last one. This is Crystal from OFM.
Hi, Christella, you can go ahead.
Should I ask?
Yes, Christella, you can ask a question.
Okay. Hi, it's Crystal here from OFM Radio News in Bloemfontein. I would just like to know, will there be any amended regulations on the COVID-19 protocol with regards to...
Hi, Christelle.
Yes?
Go ahead.
Hi, yes, it's Crystal here from OFM Radio. I just want to find out, will there be any amended regulations regarding the COVID-19 protocol when we look at exports of wool and cotton?
Okay, thank you, Christelle.
Christelle, at the moment, there is no amendment that is in process, but we will engage with the industry to understand what the constraints. As you know, that what we're dealing with in this lockdown is actually those commodities that are essential, that relate to food industries, and we will then look at other commodities, whether or not there is a need for any amending the protocol. That would be engagement between ourselves and the relevant industry and the ministries that are responsible for disaster, national disaster.
Okay, thank you very much, Minister. Can we take those on the WhatsApp?
Thanks. On the WhatsApp, Reggie, we have two other questions. One from Fikas from Network 24, and the question is, are we producing enough food to get South Africans through lockdown? But also in the month to come, international trading will probably be negatively affected by the COVID-19 pandemic for months. Please elaborate. And the second question is coming from Paul from Bloomberg. Why is this fund reserved for South African citizens only? What happens if a farmer is a foreign national with permanent South African citizenship?
Thank you, Minister.
Well, thank you very much. Currently, we are producing enough, and we are intending through this intervention to ensure that we've got enough security of supply to deal with the issues that might impact in terms of import and export, in terms of international trade. So that is why, as Cabinet, we've agreed that we needed to have some interventions to assist the various industries during this period of lockdown. With respect to the qualification, yes, South African citizens also include those who have got permanent residence in the country, because they are having a permanent residence to be in South Africa. That's why some of them do even have access to farms where they can be able to produce. So those small-scale farmers who fall in the category that I've mentioned and on the commodities that have been outlined will be assisted.
Thank you very much, Minister. I think those were all the questions. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the media. I must say that the statement will be on the government website as well as our departmental website. But other than that, thank you very much, colleagues. Thank you very much, Minister.
Thank you.
We have come to an end of our media briefing. Thank you very much.